are you doing tonight? Whoo, we've got a spooky stream, I guess. I'm in the place where I would have been streaming from yesterday had children not put an end to that. So I hope you guys are doing well. We've got, I don't know, I've got some things to talk about. I had a couple discussions Saturday on Flashcast right after the broadcast. Well, not right after, about an hour and a half after the broadcast ended here. I went over to Flashcast and got into a little tussle with just some guy who I don't have any problem with. Just some guy. This is not meant to be like I'm gonna dump on just some guy. That's not this at all. That discussion sparked in me a desire to talk a little bit more about freedom in economics and what capitalism is, what a free market is, what is and isn't true about the American free market, and there isn't really a free market in America. Yeah, why is it so slow? I think it's the lighting. I think it's trying to compensate for the low light. So I apologize. But so there is that. And on the show, I called just some guy a communist, which is maybe hyperbolic, but I'm not actually sure. What I do know is that he favors a more centrally planned economic system than I would. And so with that, do you need me to move? Is this going to be a distraction for you, chat? Are you going to be okay? Or do I have to move to where there's more light? Because I got more light. I got more light, baby. I can put more light on here if you want. Here, let's see. I'll have to grab. You'll see my shorts and my long sleeve shirt because it's fall. Oh, that was horrible sounding. I hope that hurt your ears. All right. I don't know if that's going to be any better. We'll see. But as I was saying, I know he favors a more... the frame rate is weird. Just a second. What if I can do this without ruining everything? Oh, no, we're back. Sorry. Look at this camera setting. What do we got here? Did I get anything? What does this do? Oh, there's filters? I feel like sad music should be playing. What the fuck is going on? Why do they even have this? Why is this a real thing? What am I, an LGBT rave? Like, what the fuck? Okay, get out of here. Stupid thing. Why do they have filters on YouTube live streams? Oh, God, this is going to be a disaster with the frame rate. But we're going with it because I don't know how to fix it. Oh, my gosh. I didn't know you could even do that. Stop touching things. The only thing I won't stop touching is me. So anyway, what I was saying is, just some guy appears to have more interest in centralized planning economy than I do, because I have no interest in it. I am not the guy who's like, well, you know, I want freedom up until a point where then I guess we have to step in. Nope, that is not how freedom works. That's not liberty. And so when you combine that discussion, which was Saturday, with the discussion I had today with Veto, Vito Guasaldi, and this may end up being a dump on Veto stream because I actually had much less problem with just some guy because his was just an opinion that I found to be wrong with than I do with Veto, because Veto did not just have an incorrect opinion. I mean, he certainly did have an incorrect opinion, but he took that opinion and put it into action. God, this is really distracting. This low FPS. We are on Wi-Fi, so maybe it's this. I'm done touching anything. I won't touch anything ever again, but I think I fixed it. I think I actually fixed it. That's the amazing thing. If you leave the window, it suspends the YouTube live stream. So turns out I somehow had two instances of YouTube open. And so by shutting this one off, or by shutting the other one off, I got back here. So do you know what you know what I was looking at, what I was watching on that other instance? I'll tell you. I will tell you what I was watching. And oh my gosh, a couple super chats came in and I have to keep up with those. And I missed the first one. I am sorry. Uriah Wright says, you said Vic's pants are gay. Look at your short shorts. Oh, these shorts aren't even short enough. When you're a dad, your shorts get an inch shorter for every year older you are, till eventually you're wearing a banana hammock and nothing else. Like that's just what you want. That is the desired outcome, is your shorts to approach negative infinity and just have your proud dad bulge sack hanging down, because anything else is horrible. You're not 19 anymore. You can't wear shorts that go all the way to your knees. That's wild. Trooper FN2525 says, you so own Just Some Commie. Way to go, King. And we're going to talk about that, but I gotta shit on Vito some more. Super Iron Bob says, if Vito's going to call himself arbiter of truth, maybe he shouldn't retweet bad info like the horse drug stuff. Yeah. So this is the thing here. 13 Speed Demon says, if you keep playing with it, you'll go blind, Nick. Oh, I have evidence to the contrary. And Poorly Redacted says, showing your deck on a live stream? How lewd. I know. I also have $8 of Cigar left. So that I didn't get to finish last night. And so I'm gonna shove this short torpedo into my mouth and light it on fire. So yes, Just Some Guy has an opinion that I disagree with, which is fine. We can have disagreements on opinion all over the place. Yeah, relit cigar. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to open another one. But Vito did something different. I obviously disagree with a bunch of Vito's opinions. Where I have a problem. This is where I go from disagreement to problem. Is Vito took an action that is despicable amongst a content creator. That's the big difference there. Just Some Guy and I had a philosophical disagreement on economics, and while I believe that I'm right, he believes he's right, and no harm, no foul. Vito asked me at the end of our discussion today, and I hope to God he was joking, because if he wasn't joking, it's even more pathetic. He said, so are we good? And the answer is no. The answer is no, we are not good. We will not be good as long as you are the type of person who will go around trying to intentionally wreck someone else's business. And I will not abide that. I will not be okay with that. And I will tell people that they are incorrect when they do that. And when it's, a thing. I obviously cannot police the entire internet. I'm not committing to do that, but this was something I happened to come across, and so I commented on it. And in the same way that much to the chagrin of certain people, I did go ahead and speak out when I thought Ralph was improperly going after Kiwi Farms. And there are people on Kiwi Farms who go after Ralph's channel, and I disagree with that action as well. I think all speech should be out in the open, and people should be able to find it if they want to find it. And I think that people should be able to disagree with that speech, but you can't disagree with something if you can never hear it. YYY says, can you give us a super quick status on the Vic case? Love you. Stay not given a fuck. Yes, I can in just a moment. Silver Coins Go Clink Clink says, are you slowly getting kicked out of your house? Don't worry, you'd be able to room with any of us weirdos. I hope I made it weird. Also, that Veto guy just sounds like another mundane Matt and Ralph. And so, no, I'm not getting kicked out of my house. I just can't smoke a cigar inside. So let me relight this, and that's going to be horrible, I'm sure, but I'm going to enjoy it anyway. Mandy Curvasius says, Nick Ricada OnlyFans account where he licks cigars on a microphone. Drexel disapproved, though. Am I in a swamp? Kind of. Kind of. There's a swamp, a slough behind me a little ways back. Oh, that's dry. That's going to be... Oh, this is going to be bad, I think. If this is bad, I'm going to go get a different one. Yeah, that's terrible. Okay. Well. God. What a disaster that is. You'll have to bear with me. I'll be back. I'll be back in just a moment with a much better cigar. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Oh God. Well, so instead of that, like a bored middle-aged housewife with a pool, I decided to go with a slender and short Nicaraguan. So that's what we're having here. Oh my gosh. This is a Davidoff. Davidoff? Is that it? Yeah. Davidoff Nicaraguan. Robusto. It says Robusto, so it must be. This is a Nicaragua box-pressed cigar. I know literally nothing about cigars, by the way. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect. I couldn't tell you what anything about them means. So I just go and I buy a couple different cigars from time to time, or people give them to me, and I try them. And my reviews on cigars go similar to my whiskey reviews. I like it. I liked it. That's good. I liked it. If it was bad, I probably wouldn't know. Oh, here we go. Azrael Bayonet says, can't smoke inside. No, no, we don't do that. Gotta ask all those electronics in the office and no air purifier. If not, get one. Also, relit cigar with a blowtorch. Pour some Jack with that, but the flavor will match. Now, I do have a really good Jack Daniels. Not a normal bottle of Jack. This is what I've been drinking all week. Jack number 27 Golden. It is a much better Jack Daniels than just regular, boring old Thai beard drinks this swill Jack, which is awful. A crafty Huragok says, enjoy the PP profile pic. Okay. Okay. Davidoff. Davidoff. What? Like I care how this probably European pronounces his name? Oh, I'm in Nicaragua. Yeah, but your name is Davidoff. Mr. Johnson says, I'm here for hashtag Stand with Sophie. Any updates? Yes, kind of. There was the part where he lost all the rights to his children after failing to appear at a court hearing. However, he got a weird appear by Zoom email right before the hearing and wasn't able to get in through that. Not quite sure what's going on with it. But I'm going to try and get more info on that and do an update as soon as I can. Jack of the Dead says, for calling out the commie on the stream last night, Dragon's Treasure, where TF is your cup of tea? And Emily Wooten says, apparently you were attacked by a murder hornet recently. Salty mentioned it. Sorry, I missed out. Wait, like the murder hornet has gone all the way to Salty Cracker? Oh, God. And then who is this? Dave Lopan says, Veto is gay. Let's see. Is Jack number 27 Gold considered premium? I think for Jack it is. It's about a $90 whiskey. It's not like, I've had much more expensive whiskeys, also better whiskeys, but this is way better than traditional Jack. Crafty Huragook says, fixing my super chat that went totally communist on economically. That was debating you, Nick. Oh man, that was something. Here we go. Oh, I forgot to. Terrible. Yuck. Yuck. I forgot to cut it. I'm going to have to get that out of my mouth. The hot tub's in frame. It's right there. You can see it. Okay, so anyway, here we go. Asterath the Grim says, opinions on the Primaris. I think it's single-handedly one of the laziest moves Games Workshop ever pulled. I think they're completely useless. I don't see the point of creating a super Space Marine. How do they compare against like a Custodian? Are they supposed to be better? Mr. Johnson said, I love that the flag is lit. Yes, it is properly lit. But, yeah, I think Primaris is a complete waste. Ulash1 says, Nick, why do you like shoving phallic objects in your mouth? Look, I got an oral fixation, buddy. The Denialist says, the wall that people keep calling a murder... I think wasp, but people keep calling murder hornet is probably nothing more than a cicada killer. They actually look fairly similar. And Ray Drake says, law question. My job has recently added on-the-job applications for new hires. You have to have the jab to be hired. Isn't this a form of discrimination? The answer is yes. Is it impermissible? Don't know. Custodians still wreck Primaris. They should, except did you guys ever read The Outcast Dead? Where the basic bitch world eater killed a custodian in hand-to-hand combat, and I'm pretty sure the custodian was armored and the world eater was not. What a fucking joke that was. God, that was terrible. That Silencer says, in yesterday's debate, I pictured either you as an immortan Joe. Do not, my friends, become addicted to water. It will take hold of you and you will resent its absence. Power eventually corrupts everyone. Stay safe. Okay. I haven't read Alfarius. I'm reading Luther right now, and it's good. I'm a big fan of Luther so far. But okay. That's not what we're here to talk about. Of course, you guys could dictate the stream, I suppose. That's up to you, but we're going to talk about liberty. We're going to talk about economic freedom. We're going to talk about what I blithely call communism, because I just refer to all central planning economic systems as communism, because that's the most effective thing. And you notice what happens is when you do that, people get really, really defensive. No. I'm not communist. I'm totally different from a communist. I'm like, well, what's different? Well, I think you should be free to sell stuff. Just there needs to be a limit on how much you can charge. Oh, so like the Chinese version of communism. Got it. Squirty McFallick III says, what's going on with The Office? Missed out on what happened with that. Is it because of the flooding from a while back? Been wondering about it for a while. No, my office is fine. I do most shows from the office. I just like, I'm enjoying being outside as much as possible because it's about to get cold. It's about to get cold here. And so I'm trying to deal with that. Mike Hunt says Cigar was kicked from Patreon for using the between M and O word on an unrelated platform. Veto thinks he's safe as he obeys the rules of speech on each platform. His actions contribute to cancel culture. Yes. Azriel Bane X says, off topic, but with Halloween coming up, you're going to stream some horror games. Dead by Daylight is always fun for some VR horror. We'll see. Ulash1 says, not all centralized economies are communism. I know that. Quite a few are fascists. They just don't know what a fascist economy is. I know, but if you call them commies, they immediately get defensive because they don't want to be communist, especially if they're not all the way communist. And then they try and play defense. So Matt Kors says, Nick admitted he is going to eventually get the jab. Will you guys stop watching him when he does? I didn't say I would definitely eventually get the jab. I probably will, though, because if I have to have it to travel, then I'm going to have to get it. Like, at some point, they will push in on your freedom to the point where you have to make a decision to get it. But I haven't told anyone not to. I said you always need to make that decision for yourself. I'm opposed to mandates. But, I'm opposed to seatbelt rules, too. I don't think there should be mandatory seatbelt rules. I always wear my seatbelt every single time. Cemetery Lady says, any websites you suggest for someone pulling their kid out of school? Mache.org and the HSLDA, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Those have tons of homeschooling resources. Start there. And Kraubana Betha says, did you hear about Alaska's governor's response to Biden's jab and other mandates? No, I did not. But I did hear that Alaska Air kicked off one of the Alaska state senators, and she can't get to the Capitol to vote because you have to travel by plane. Or she can't get to the Capitol, to vote because she can't travel by plane. I'm going to have to relight this thing. So you're also going to be taking a lifetime of them. Don't you see what you're opting into? I haven't opted in yet. They haven't forced me into it. Chill. Mandy Carvici says, Donald Trump, describe your cigar, please. This cigar has done some wonderful things to a large intern woman. John Doe says, isn't communism inevitable? when mass automation, artificial meat production, and as AI tech becomes economic, no, it's not inevitable. A post-scarcity society, basically. I don't think we'll have a post-scarcity society in any of our lifetimes, because there's always a resource to consume. That's a law of physics and thermodynamics. So I don't think we're at a post-scarcity society, but it'll be interesting to see what happens and how the economy develops. What's the F's? What F's? Are the F's for me talking about the Clintons? Oh, Attorney Tom, you son of a bitch. Quick update on the Vic case that I promised to YYY several minutes ago. Still waiting on the appeal. Still waiting on the appeal. Have to. It could be any Thursday still. 9:30 p.m. Central Time. Won't know. No way to forecast it. Super Iron Bob says, saw a guy in Australia had cardiac reaction to the first jab, was figuring out how to get the second because he knows if he doesn't, he's a second-class citizen. Well, good luck to him. Lighters are boring. Use a torch. Use a torch. Crusader Saracen says, post-scarcity society just seems like Silicon Valley bugman fantasy, to be honest. Also, what did Veto do exactly? Okay, let's talk Veto. So, Friday, on Friday Night Tights on Nerdrotic's stream, Alex Jones was on. I think for like 30 minutes of the stream. He wasn't on for the whole thing, but they did get Alex Jones to come on for a little bit and have some discussion. And Alex Jones talked a little bit about the vaccine and that he was, I don't know what he said. I didn't watch it, but what I hear is that he talked about his distrust of the vaccine, or maybe why other people distrust the vaccine. Jane Doe says, are you pregnant / still waiting on that Seattle deal? That you only smoke cons at the birth of a child? Would you collab with Legal Mindset or Crime Talk? Still waiting on the Seattle disclosure stuff. I don't know the timeline on it. Smoking a cigar because I wanted to. And yes, I would collab with them. Clark Terry fan says, Nick, don't let them bully you. I've got the same feeling about the jab. Until they make it impossible to function, I won't take it. Yeah. And they may not. They may not. I think they probably will, but they may not. So we'll see. And it'll depend on what my travel plans are and all that stuff. But at some point, something, they may come to your house. Yeah, who knows what happens then? Might have to go swimming. Okay, so Alex Jones is on Friday Night Tights. He has some disagreements with the vaccine. I think that's probably to be expected from Alex Jones. Not anybody being surprised by that take, which is fine. Veto goes on to Twitter, tags Nerdrotic, and tags Team YouTube in a tweet that says, listen to all these morons, listen to Alex Jones spread misinformation or lies about the vaccine. I thought that was against Team YouTube's terms of service. I guess they changed their mind. And Team YouTube responded that they would be investigating into the stream, right? That is a full-on cunt move. Not applicable says, hey, how's it going, buddy? Glad to see you on Sunday night. Good. Very good. Ray Drake says, you mentioned Ardbeg Korvrekin while in Seattle and had a bottle of Ergodile not long ago. I highly recommend an OA if you haven't tried it. It's my favorite of 3. I haven't found one around here. So Veto called the YouTube police on Twitter where they knowingly respond to content creators. By the way, Team YouTube follows me. I assume they follow Veto. They follow channels that have very like small audiences as well. If they have a problem, going to Twitter and tagging Team YouTube is actually an effective way to get YouTube's attention, at least through that channel. And lots of people have reported stuff to Team YouTube on Twitter and gotten people deplatformed. Veto knows this, which is why he did it. So, to me, you can think Alex Jones is an idiot. You can think Alex Jones' opinion on the vaccine are wrong or harmful or dangerous or whatever. I personally don't think anybody is taking Alex Jones's opinion on the vaccine who didn't already have that opinion on the vaccine. But that's, that's me. But the moment you go after someone's business, and in this case, he was going after Nerdrotic's business for something that Alex Jones was saying, that is when you have crossed the line out of decency. And people in today's society are just like, nope, we need to cancel people. And they are, Ty's talked about this a lot. They are not considering the ramifications of removing someone's livelihood. Someone is going to get shot at some point. Someone will get canceled. Can you imagine like one of these, million subscriber channels that makes someone $500,000 a year or something like that? And then that all goes away in a heartbeat because some fat fucking Italian in LA reported your channel. I mean, I can't imagine. At some point, you go from $500,000 a year to maybe bankrupt. And take it out of the context of YouTube. It happens in all these industries now. Cancel culture is going to end in bullets at some point. And these people will need to not be surprised when they're the ones on the receiving end. I don't want that to happen. But you can only take away people's livelihood, the thing that they built and they worked on, they sweat over. I mean, guys, I work on this channel in some way, shape, or form, probably 16 to 17 hours a day. Every single day. When I'm not working, I'm looking for stories. I'm trying to network through Twitter. I'm trying to book something. I'm reading email. I'm trying to go on Locals or Discord somewhere. And I'm not good at all of it. But I'm working on this business, this show that I've built for 16 to 17 hours a day, every single day. There isn't a day off. There isn't a full-on vacation. You can try, but you're always checking on things, seeing how things are going, wondering if you should try and upload a video, wondering what you can talk about. People who own small businesses, like traditional ones, like brick and mortar mom and pop shops, they're doing the same thing. They're there after hours. They're not getting paid by the hour. You get paid based on the effort. And that means you put in as much as you can. Unless you're Veto. Mike Hunt says, white pill from Australia, don't despair about totalitarianism. It does no good. Waking people up is a waste of time. Fortify your soul for what's to come. Crusader says, just got back from friend's birthday party. Now Nick is streaming while I write. Today is a good day. Outdoor streams have such chill ambiance and mood. Well, hopefully. All right. I don't know. I don't need more money. That's not the point of it. You work to grow the business and sustain the business. Dragon's Treasure says, I openly talk how I will physically go after anyone who threatens my business. Dragon's Treasure is greater than the life of any cancel culture cultist. It's, in any case, especially a content creator like Veto should not be engaged in this type of behavior because he's subject to it. He thinks he's not because he thinks he has, quote unquote, the correct opinion. He thinks he's not subject to it because he thinks he's on the same side. And he is, for now. for now, but what about when he's not? But even if he's always on the correct platform opinion, and imagine being that much of a fucking cuck, but even if he is always on the correct platform opinion, it doesn't matter. You still don't go after someone's business. Like that's like saying that you know, you God, I can't even analogize it. I can't even analogize it. You just don't do it. You don't try to destroy someone's business. If they're breaking the law, I mean, I don't snitch to cops either. I'm not, hello, police. Someone is breaking the law right now. You only do that if they're violating your rights, in my opinion. And even then, I'm pretty skeptical about the police's influence over someone's taking infringing on my rights, right? Like I would rather handle that situation on my own. But you don't go after a person's business. You don't go after I want to say a man's business, but I guess theoretically some women own businesses too. Not comedy shops. No, you don't go after someone's business. You just don't do it. It's not how we interact in quote unquote polite society. And by the way, when I say a polite society, you know what I mean. An armed society is a polite society. That is what polite society is. It's the one where you don't go after someone because you'll die, because that's their thing, and you're trying to harm their thing. You're infringing on their right. Digitalis says, say no to gun violence. They'll just use it for further crackdowns on freedoms, make the government ban crowbars and croquet mallets. Ulash1 says, someone's business is like their child. You wouldn't go after someone's children because they gave grape drink instead of Kool-Aid. Veto would if it was against the rules. Crusader Saracen says, tell that lardo they eat their own first. He's excited about that. He wants to eat them. Red Guy says, the only time I called the cops on someone, they were driving on the wrong side of the interstate somehow. Yeah, and that's because you're concerned for someone's safety in a real, imminent way. That's not... You don't call the cops when someone's speeding. Unless you do. And if you do, you deserve to be punched right in the dick. It's crazy town. It's crazy town. Karama Minamino says, Madara did nothing wrong. Who the hell's Madara? But with that, that's all the backdrop for this talk. That's all just the backdrop for this talk. We're in the backstory still. We're not even at present day. A lot of people are asking, who is Veto? And that's proper. Veto is a globular, not a globalist, but a globularist. He's a globular-shaped YouTuber who had a couple Star Wars videos hit really well. And so he has a channel with 220,000 subscribers or so, and the channel is effectively dead outside of those Star Wars videos that he did. If you go check out his current viewer numbers, they're very, very low, which is fine. I don't know how much it matters to him. It's that's just a thing. He's got a large channel in the sense that he's got 200-something thousand subscribers, but it's not effectively large because he's not getting the view numbers. Kind of like how my channel works in a lot of ways, right? I have 171,000 subscribers and some change, but I don't get that many views on each video. I would love to. I'm working to grow it, of course, but I'm still getting in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 times more than, 5 to 10 times more than Veto or something like that. I don't know. It's the way it works out. But that's why you may not have heard of him. He is also a co-host of Dick's new show, The Biggest Problem in the Universe, which is a reboot of the old The Biggest Problem in the Universe that he used to do with Maddox. And for a while, he was a frequent guest caller on The Dick Show. I actually thought he was co-host of The Dick Show, but apparently he's not. I guess he was just calling in a lot. Karama Minamino says, watch Naruto, Nick, you boomer. And then Juan says Veto is YouTube version of an incel. And the Not Applicable says, I did report my stolen catalytic converter last week. Yeah, you have to report. That's the annoying thing, right? To get your insurance claim, you have to report stolen property. So what Dick needs for the biggest problem, apparently, he thinks, I don't know if it's right, he needs a left-leaning heel to bounce off of. That was kind of the format with Maddox. And so I think in Veto, he thought he had another Maddox. And I mean, in a lot of ways, he seems to. Probably in more ways than he even wanted. Mandy Carvicia says, Nick, every time you puff cigar, I twirl my hair with my fingers. I just caught myself. What the fuck, Ricada? Sorry. Mike Hunt says, is Veto just trying to self-destruct? Depression? You should be depressed. So, this is all the backstory, though. The real story is Liberty, and it's dying. It is dying in our fingertips. It is dying under our feet. It is dying in front of us. We're watching it bleed out on the sands of Iwo Jima, right in front. I don't know where we're. Baron Sky says divorced women own businesses. That's a good joke. We're watching Liberty die. And everyone around you is cheering the death of that liberty. From Veto saying that Alex Jones has the right to say stuff, but he shouldn't be allowed to say it anywhere that he wants except in his own home. And he actually said that. Well, he could say what he wants, in his own house or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, you have a right to say something in your closet to your clothes. That's not a fucking right. That's just obvious. If no one can hear you, then you don't have a right. Matt Maka says, Nikki, guess who you are broadcasting? Guess who? Are you broadcasting from your tent on a San Francisco street now? By the way, you reading Streamlabs with that set up? No, I'm not. I can't. Sorry. Can't do it. I probably should have taken it out of the description. I really kind of want to get rid of Streamlabs, I think, entirely. It's just not beneficial in any way. I may switch to Stream Elements or something, but Tasman 3002 says, I worked in a call center with a woman who owned a comedy club. She was working there because it went out of business. So the whole point of freedom, and this is actually talked about pretty specifically by the United States Supreme Court. It's not just a right to freely speak. It is a freedom to have your voice heard. And it is a freedom to hear. Now, it doesn't guarantee that people will hear your voice. But it does prevent the government from stopping people from hearing your voice. And yes, the First Amendment only applies to the state and state actors. And we won't get into the question of whether or not YouTube is a de facto state actor, because the court is not going to recognize big tech or big media as state actors right now, even if they practically are. Okay, so we have to get that. You have to get that argument out of your head at this point. Eventually, we may get there. We're a long way from it for now. Crusader Saracen says, I use Streamlabs because I thought it benefited you more. Sorry. It did. It did until they banned me. And now it's just a huge pain. Saint Center PA says, it's due to the false sense of duality. Democrat versus Republican. Listen to Alan Watts and be white-pilled. I thought it was just be white. I was like, oh, okay, I guess. But there was a pill there. Here's the deal. Here's the deal with liberty in the Supreme Court and speech. It's the right to be heard Yes, they can only enforce it against the state because that's the only person that the court has jurisdiction over, or that the Constitution has jurisdiction over on restrictions, because it is a list of negative liberties. They cannot stop you from doing these things. That means that private parties can stop you up to the limit of your own rights and all that stuff. But the principles behind free speech extend long past the Constitution. Sam Adams 73 says ideas are dangerous to those who wish to control ideas. Karama Minamino says vote for Larry Elder on Tuesday AM for the recall. Yes, do that. Vote for the recall. But here's the rub. Here's the rub. Those principles go beyond. They go beyond the government's restrictions on themselves. We were built on the idea that the person gets to speak, and that you defeat that speech with louder speech, not with a speech police, not with a speaker policia to come in and stop them. That was the goal. Jordan Jones says, hey, Nick, I went cheap on you with the $5 super chats, but the messages were tamed, I think. Do you still read $5 messages, or did things change? Okay, when I'm in my office at my full setup doing a normal full-size show, I read the $20 and up ones first, and we get to all the others at the end of the day. When I'm doing these impromptu sort of streams, due to the nature of how YouTube works, I have to keep up with reading them as they come in. So they all get read on every show unless something happens to make me miss one. I try to hit every single one. But, oh, there went the ash. It fell. It fell. And no, it's not about Democrat or Republican. And I haven't mentioned that at all. It's about liberty. The Republicans were instrumental in tamping down on free speech just a few short decades ago. Then the pendulum swung. That being said, Veto's key argument. Oh, by the way, where I talked to Veto today was on the Dick Show. It'll go up on Tuesday at like 1 a.m. or something. I don't know the exact release time, but it will go up on Tuesday. And so that's where I talked to him. Vienticus Prime says louder speech, so shout them down. That doesn't seem very beneficial to me. Louder voices tend to be the stupider ones. Louder doesn't always mean actually louder. A more correct, calm voice can be louder than the shrillish screech from Antifa. Karama Minamino says Madara would support your liberty. Jordan Jones says, with that said, I wanted to see if you think the fix is in on the recall election in California. Joe Biden's mask mandate strategy seems poorly timed. They're certainly trying to fix it through the media. They're certainly trying to make it look. You notice how the poll numbers for Gavin Newsom just skyrocketed in the past week? That's the discouragement play that they're trying to do. Rogue says, always remember authoritarians play both sides. Absolutely. And Renee Villarreal says, both parties have chipped away at liberty. Then they do it. They do it when they are in charge, not expecting things to change. Yes. Yes. That's why we have to get people who are liberty-minded in charge. And keep liberty-minded people in charge, not party people in charge. So when I discussed this with Veto, his central point was that Alex Jones's statements on vaccines were going to cause harm, and he has some duty to correct the harm that Alex Jones is going to cause. Veto's mission in life, his sole calling, which clearly everybody thought was a fucking buffet carafe. But no, his sole calling is actually to go ahead and fix the ills of someone's unwise words. According to him. Dustman Noro CHJ says, is there Any way to hear last night's Flashcast rerun? I passed out before I got to hear my super chats read and responded to. Yes, it'll be up on Corono's channel sometime soon. Phoenix Lord Asterman says, is this veto the same fig that defends cuties while simultaneously attacking kiwi farms because bullies? Yes. Yes. It is not anyone's job to fix the wrong ideas of people they don't know. It may be your job to fix the wrong ideas of people you do know. That might be. It's not necessarily your job. That might be your job. But it is not your job to find someone on the internet who does not know that you exist, who does not care about you, to go and correct and police their speech. And actually not even correct their speech. Just tell YouTube that someone is saying the wrong thing. He's saying the wrong thing. You got to stop him. Someone will get hurt. Look, guys, someone gets hurt when you pull out your Apple iPhone. You know Vito's got an iPhone. You know he's got an iPhone, right? Someone got hurt making that iPhone. Renee Villarreal says copyright and patent laws have gone too far and are impeding progress. Maybe. Maybe. But you know Vito's got an iPhone because, of course he does. They control things. That's what he wants. He wants control in his life because he can't do it himself or something. I mean, that seems to be pretty clear. The self-control thing seems to be an issue. His 8th scale would certainly suggest that. Fienticus Prime says, don't argue with idiots, question them to death. AW says, I have a specialized skill set in one specific industry, and if the vax mandates go through, I lose my entire career. Despite what people say, it doesn't get to be my choice. These people are tyrants. Correct. Crusader says, Vito would defend cuties, wouldn't he? By Allah, I don't even need to check early life anymore. I can feel it. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I don't have a problem with him defending cuties. I mean, I disagree heavily with his defense of cuties. But if he wants to go out and do that to himself and put himself out there as a fucking weirdo, that's his prerogative. He can do that. I will never ask him to be deplatformed for that. I'll suggest that's a stupid position and very, very disgusting. And it's amazing that he can, with a straight face, say that Alex Jones's opinion on vaccines will lead to harm, but cuties production won't lead to harm. I mean, the audition reels of those kids are harm. The footage on cuties is harm to those children. CH1PPZ says, thanks for always being a logical and sensible voice here on the YouTube. Wish more people like you would choose to lead. Our country desperately needs new faces and new embraces. Unfortunately, YouTube is the reason I will never be able to have a political career. It'll never happen for me because I chose to speak. And once you choose to speak, you cannot prevail. It won't work anymore. Karama Muramino says Vito was spotted in a fig bar in New York. Why? Because everything I say is recorded. And sometimes I say something that's a joke. Sometimes I say things that are controversial. And that will be weaponized out of context against you. Because free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. You're only allowed to have one opinion. And it's that way. That's my left, by the way. That's the only way. Brock M says, Dune, quote, once men turned their thinking over to the machines in the hope that this would set them free, but that only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. Crusader says, oh Allah, take my heart, which has been hardened like a rock. Take it and stone all these cuties defenders. Alex Scott Thompson says, Trump was president. Don't underestimate yourself. Well, Trump doesn't have a blackface picture, but somebody else does. No, I pointed towards my left. The image is mirrored. It's mirrored. So you're only allowed to have fun. You're only allowed to make jokes, and you're only allowed to have the wrong opinions if those wrong opinions are to the left. That's how it goes. Maybe that'll switch in our lifetime. Maybe. Put me in the Senate, and we'll see. We'll see how things work. Dark Avenger says, thoughts on Ramsey County's new traffic violation SOP. I don't know. What is it? I have no idea. Karama Minamano says, you could get elected state rep at least. Spidey Leo Slayer for that epic ownage of just some guy last night. You know this is my left hand because my wedding ring's on it. Jason Schreiner says, you're only slightly more offensive than Jason Lewis, who he won once here in Minnesota. You do well in your neighborhood. God, do you remember the brochures that went out? All the things he said about fat and ugly women were on them, just printed. I was like, oh, Jesus. Can you imagine? They just send out thumb drives of live streams. I'd copyright strike him. AW says, it's sad that you would get more criticism as a politician over your hours of live streams compared to politicians who barely can make 20-minute speeches. Matt Field says, unfortunately, those that would be the best leaders don't want to lead. Ty is right. Eventually, a chancellor will cancel the wrong cancelee. Yep. Mandy says, Nick is too smart to run for public office. Oh, that's humbling. Donald True says, what about reporting / exposing scams and sexploitation of family vlogger kids? As Trump, if I was president, there would be no hostages. This is a disgrace. Look, if someone is genuinely in imminent danger, if a child is being, like you see a kidnapped child, right, or something like that, yeah, I mean, you're going to possibly intervene there. You're gonna do something about that, and if that's calling the police, sure. If you see a drunk driver swerving all over the road, you might call the police on him. My point is, you're not going to do it for someone who's speeding. And Alex Jones giving Alex Jones's opinions on vaccines is not going to harm anyone. No one is going to die because Alex Jones gave an opinion about the vaccine. It will never happen. That person has so many sources of information that they can choose on. And the reason that they're choosing Alex Jones is because he's not speaking some fact that they're like, oh, Alex Jones has the miracle truth. It comports with the other realities that they're already engaged in. They're already predisposed to his message. He's not winning them over with rhetoric by saying they'll liquidate your organs or whatever. And you know what? Again, I made the point on the show with Dick today to Veto. Well, what about the people who did die from the side effects? Like, there are people who have died or had severe nerve damage or cardiac damage from this jab. That has happened. It doesn't mean it's going to happen to you necessarily, but it has happened. Do people not get to consider that? And Vito's answer is no, they don't. Dark Avenger says, Ramsey County announced that a new countywide policy will end prosecution of most felony crimes that are found during non-safety traffic stops. There you go. I guess, well, I think there should be less traffic stops in general, in all honesty. Karama Minamino says, this is why we need Madara. Chris Primer says, hello, Tricky Nikki. It's been some time since my last super chat. Well, welcome back. Hopefully this time's as good as your last time. But no one can be harmed by receiving information that informs their opinion. It just doesn't work that way. They make the decisions at the end of the day. Ray Drake says, sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. Some guy with a killdozer, probably. And just because someone has a bad reaction to a vaccine does not mean you should or shouldn't take it. You have to make those decisions on your own. That's freedom. That's risk. That is risk. And that is what I wanted to get to. We're finally getting there. Liberty is risk. It always was. The idea that you don't have a government telling you how to live, that you don't have a government stopping you from hurting yourself. That's risk. Matt Deckard says, I'm convinced MSNBC is QAnon and Blue Anon. Very possible. Liberty is the opportunity to make the wrong choice. Of course you want to be able to make the wrong choice because the person who decided it was wrong is often wrong. And Veto doesn't get that. And in some way, Just Some Guy didn't get that. Now, if you didn't watch Flashcast, Just Some Guy and I got into an argument over freedom because he had a problem with a guy early on in the pandemic. I think it was in Tennessee. He went out and bought as much hand sanitizer as he could. As much hand sanitizer as he could right at the beginning of the pandemic. And then he went and he started selling it at a huge markup. Red Guy says, my body, my choice. Suicide is illegal. What? And he started selling it at a huge markup. Smart. Absolutely. Absolutely smart. Just Some Guy and the government said that was wrong. And he was happy that they confiscated his property. They took it. They opened up his storage trailer without his consent and literally stole the hand sanitizer that he purchased. Luke Blanche says, Robert Barnes has said that separate hospitals data has shown anywhere from 120 to 200,000 have died from the jab in the U.S. alone. I don't know anything about it. I think the stats are irrelevant here, in all honesty. It is price gouging. Yes, it absolutely is price gouging. 100%. And should he do it? Maybe not. But guess what? He bought it. If you went to the store and bought up every copy of Final Fantasy VII and controlled the market, and then let's say you could do that. You found a way to acquire, because you're rich, every single physical copy of Final Fantasy VII. Every one of them. And then you marked it up to 10 grand a copy because you own all of them. That's yours. That's yours. Maybe that's a bad one. I mean, with emulators and stuff. But no, it's not even bad because people want physical media, right? Or you could go buy every copy of Superman 1 or Spider-Man 1 or whatever it is. The first appearance of Wolverine. If you're into comics, I don't know these things. But I hear they're worth a lot of money. If you could go and buy all of them and then set the price, that's your thing. You acquired it. You took the initiative. You took the risk. You took the risk that no one would ever want to buy it again. The government taking your property that you acquired is not the solution to price gouging. It's not. That's just, I don't know how else to say it. Like, we've gotten so accustomed to the government saving us from the bad actions of other people as if we have a right to a product. You don't have a right to hand sanitizer. I mean, you can make your own. There's any number of alternatives to hand sanitizer that work really well. Like, you don't need the alcohol concoction that you spray from Purell into your hand. There are other ways to sanitize your hands. But no one wanted that. They wanted the little bottle of Purell. They somehow had a right to it in their minds. Synapse says, people ignore that disaster prices are good regulators of priorities. To force them down causes shortages where they are most needed. It's disgusting. Mandy says, the CVS website says the CDC has determined it's safe to receive a flu shot with COVID-19 vaccine, and it's asking if you would like both shots. I don't like the flu shot. Not applicable says price gouging prevents shortages. Economics hose. We're not even talking economics here. We're talking liberty still. Solid Broly says it's amazing how people are okay with restricting other people's freedoms as long as it's their team doing the restricting. They refuse to see the hypocrisy. And Trump Willis is my name says he also totally missed that resources are finite and can't give needy people everything because they can't afford it. Yes, that was the most amazing thing. That was the most amazing thing about the discussion I had with just some guy was at some point he said, look, if you go, you have water, or you have the thing I need to live, you can't deny that to me. And it's like, okay, you need water to live. If I have, you can't come to my house and demand my water. You cannot. You cannot. I mean, you can demand it. You cannot take it. You cannot take it from me. That is mine. I have the right to my water. I have a well on my property. The groundwater that my well taps into is mine. It's my water right. I can use all of it, and I do. During the drought, I ran my sprinklers every day, and I ran them extra heavy because it was so hot. And my grass is luscious and green. And if you were starving at the end of my or dying of thirst at the end of my street, came up to demand to drink my sprinkler water, I'd say, it's my grass, motherfucker. You can't have it. It's my water, not yours. Go cry somewhere else. Except you can't because all your tears are dried up. You withered husk. Die. Wolfgang Dale says, what's up, dude? Hoping for a good week. Me too. Eric the Red says, it's up to the vendor's discretion whether a product has a purchase limit per customer. Yes, that's how you solve it. To allow the government to come in and seize property for fairness is totalitarian. Yes. Brock M says, Purell was just pissed that they didn't get part of the cut. Quavo says, why can't we wait until there's a safe and effective vaccine? Get the jab of an imperfect vaccine. Even then, let the variants form and run wild lockdowns until we have 120% vaccination rates. Might be the plan. Super Iron Bob says, if the state thinks the goods are better appropriated to the public, then the public can pay for it via the state. Well, the state could buy it. And they do. They do. Which I'm not really a big fan of the state making purchases to control the market. They did that with ammo. Huge purchases of ammo for Homeland Security, if you remember that. So then that morphed into Martin Shkreli. He brought up Martin Shkreli, ignoring that Martin Shkreli was never criminally charged or even punished criminally in a court or by any regulatory body for raising the price of the drug that he bought, Daraprim, which is used to treat toxoplasmosis, which accounts for somewhere around 300 deaths a year, something like that. It's a rather insignificant problem. The drug is rather insignificant, except when you need it. But that's not why Martin Shkreli was criminally prosecuted. That's not him. It was securities fraud on an unrelated issue. Joshua Powell says, my son is being required to get the jab to be on a transplant list. Already has heart issues as well. Do I have any legal remedy, or is that all private? I think it's private. Yeah, cat AIDS, but it's also toxoplasmosis is cat AIDS, but it also comes from food poisoning. But just some guy was saying that he shouldn't have been able to do that he shouldn't have been able to raise the price. Of course he should have been. Of course he should have been. You may not like it, right? Like, again, I use this. I don't like that Lamborghinis cost more money than I can afford because I've wanted one since I was a kid. And if you didn't want him to raise the price of Daraprim, you should have bought it. I'm sorry that you didn't have $55 million to buy it. Someone else could have bought it. No one else did. The patent expired and he bought it. AW says, people accuse my family of price gouging last year because we own 300-gallon tanks of purified water that we often sell to help our community out. Yeah, and you should be able to. at whatever price you want to charge because it's yours. Rick Nikita, yes, I'm using my phone. I'm outside. It's glorious. It's so nice out. But at the end of the day, people's response to that is always, it's the S21. S21 Ultra is what I'm using. At the end of the day, people's response is always, but I don't like that. I don't like that it costs so much. I don't like that I'm not able to afford as much water as I want or toilet paper or whatever. Well, too fucking bad. You might have to find some alternative. There are alternatives to Daraprim, by the way. And now there's a generic for Daraprim because the patent had expired. I think now it's $4 a pill or something like that. Nick, why did you do that blackface? I didn't know this. I didn't do blackface. Okay. There's a thing, doing blackface is a thing that you do to make whatever statement. I, in a private party with Drexel, dressed up as Drexel. That's what I did. That is called blackface, even though it has nothing to do with blackface or minstrel shows or anything like that. I literally just dressed up for Halloween as Drexel. I had his headband on. I had the same outfit that he was wearing and all that stuff. I invited him over. He had no idea. It was really fucking funny, and that's it. Base Crocodile says, Nick, free market heart transplants for Kata. Yes, free market heart transplants. If you can buy a heart, you should be able to. Wolfgang Deo says, have you heard that Japan is doing army exercises? I didn't know Japan had an army. And the other joke about it was I did the shittiest possible job with a $4 tube of face paint. That was the joke. It cost, the whole costume was like $5. And the whole point of it was just to make Drexel laugh when he showed up. It was great. It was really funny. He was in on the joke. Everybody was fine. Nobody got hurt. Frederick Little says 24-hour stream soon. As soon as I can find a 36-hour block, buddy. Random 11 says, what if your neighbor's well tapped into the same groundwater source as yours did and they used up all the water so that your well goes dry? They can't. You can't. You don't own, you own down. You don't own diagonal. That was in The Simpsons. Crusader Saracen says, would you ever dress as Drexel on stream again? No. With the hat he always wears, that would be hilarious, I think. Yeah, no. I wouldn't do it again. If I ever did it again in private, it would have to be private. You just can't. You can't do it. It's gay. I think that's about the last time I get to use that torch on this boy. Would just put on his hat? Oh, sure. I dress like him. I wouldn't do the paint. It's in the same way, like, I don't say the N-word. I don't care if people say the N-word. I have no problem with it. I never have really said it. Even on Halo 2 or whatever. I just drop the figgot all the time on people, but never really said the N-word. And I won't do it to make a point either. I don't have a problem with people using it. I don't care. But you just, it's too much these days. Colin says, I work for the federal government and they're going to force me to get the jab. What are my options? Try for religious exemption. Yep, that's your best chance right now. And Robert Barnes on his locals page has a religious exemption template that people should use. Secular says, I would love to see Devin Stack on your show. He would be an interesting guest. Don't know who he is, but sure. Crusader says, I got it. Have Drex dress up as you with fake nose. That'd be good. Cloudfire. The funny thing is, I could dress up as Drexel and do an offensive impression. As long as I don't paint my face black, it would be okay. That's the stupidity. That's the stupidity of our society. Cloudfire181 says, what better for cigars, matches, or lighters? I use this torch. It's, what is it? Is it butane? Burns-O-Matic. Oh, this is a Map Pro. I better shoot this thing. I don't know what gas it is. I don't really want to read it. I don't know what MAP gas is. Is that propane? Wolfgang Deo says, don't paint, use a black piece of paper, solved. Blaine20 says, people generally wouldn't need medicine if they lived off the land, stayed away from tech. We create our own hell and then call it normal. Renee Villarreal says, would you have Drex do whiteface? No. No, I wouldn't have him do whiteface either. Because at some point, that could be used against him, and that's stupid. That's stupid. Again, you can do all of the offensive impressions you want. You just can't paint. You can say the most offensive things you want, but if you say the N-word, then you're bad. That is the dumbest thing on the planet. And that's what I hate about where society is. That we have so empowered a word or expression to make something objectively evil. Super Iron Bob says, as a PSA, like with the drug in question, most pharmacies have a program to reduce the consumer costs of their medications. Check their websites. Seriously. Yeah, actually, Martin Shkreli's company did too. They gave away more free Daraprim after they increased the price than the previous company did. Red Mage 13 says, someone tried to argue with me about the mandate. He showed me AP as a source. Does the mandate include both medical and religious exemptions or no? Technically, I think you can still apply for a religious exemption. Linda Marie says, if a bill was proposed that private companies, schools, hospitals, individuals, or the government military can't force vaxes, would that ever have passed? Not right now, it won't. Wolfgang says, what's up, my NWAs? Asia Fraser says, isn't the mime in whiteface? I mean, you can argue that it is now. But that's the lunacy, right? Miming has nothing to do with race. King Ryanson says, Jimmy Kimmel gets away with it, though. Yeah, that's because he cries in public like a fucking beta. We are real close to the end of this, boy. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, 20 states are suing the federal government over vaccines. I'm going to see if I can get a video on that tomorrow. I am going to try and do a live stream tomorrow for Biden's appearance with Gavin Newsom, if I can find it. I don't know when that is, or if it will be streamed, but if it is, I'm going to try and do that live. Ray Drake says, MAP is a mixture of things with propane, hotter than propane also. I use one at work to loosen C's bolts. Base Crocodile says, this country isn't worth reforming, balkanized now. Gonna cover the recall? Yeah, that's on Tuesday. I'll figure out what to do with that. Wolfgang says, apparently, and this makes sense, vaccines/inoculations have been mandated for particular groups of volunteering-ish groups for only smallpox. Not applicable says, argument is also that free economics work better long-term than fascism. Prices are signals to make stuff and innovate. Freedom is pro-human cooperation. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. The free market has created more for the entire world than any other economic system by so far that it's embarrassing. And the only times innovation stops are when someone steps in and says, whoa, 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 we don't want that person making that much money. Blaine20 says, thank you for recall stream. Yeah, I'm going to figure something out to cover it. We'll have to see. Again, I'll go back to Standard Oil. John Rockefeller, right? Standard Oil became a monopoly and became the de facto standard oil. It wasn't just branding. They were the first company to standardize kerosene across the country and make a version of kerosene that would not blow up your lantern and light your house and barn on fire. They were the first ones. That's why they gained a 94% market share. And in that time, they never actually gouged price. Now, they did some shady stuff to take on their competition, undercut them on price, buy them out, whatever they wanted to do. But they didn't do that to the consumer. They did that to their competitors. Price always equalized under Standard Oil. We broke up Standard Oil on the thought that they might eventually gouge the price. Now, the other monopoly that was broken up that's really famous was Bell, Ma Bell, right? Bell Communications. You have to remember that communications companies are different. I would fully support the ability for a communications company to create a monopoly on its own, but they rely on government to get there. They have to partner with government to create their monopolies and to hold them. And that is the problem with communications monopolies. They require easements, forced easements across your property to run lines. And as long as that is the case, then they shouldn't get to have their monopoly, I guess, because they didn't get it through the free market. They got it through lobbying. They got it through government force. They took it at gunpoint. Renee Villarreal says, words only have the power we give them. Don't give a word power, and it won't be a problem. There are just a lot of idiots that don't understand that lesson. Wolfgang Deo says, World War II Germany created more havoc than free markets. Blaine20 says, ha, Tiberius not. Thank you. Crusader says, hey guys, I just discovered the light bulb, but we finished switching over to candles. Anthem. Yes. Wolfgang Deo says, can Pfizer be called a monopoly / anti-competition? No, Johnson Johnson exists. Varick Phoenix says, yo, try saying Irish wristwatch. No, fuck you. 3 times. Not a chance. Cloudfire181 says, I heard a bit of just some guy's argument. It doesn't make sense. If an organization brings water to an African village, it's not that village's water. It's the organization's water. Absolutely. And they don't have to buy it. Red Mage 13 says, starting to get annoyed with people pushing communism, knowing that I'm a small business owner and don't realize how much I would get screwed over. A lot is the answer. Snuggle Struggle says, Katie Hill, politician who groomed a young employee, another underling prior, and resigned after caught. She is campaigning for Newsom in California, and they'll eat it up. They'll eat it up. But this is liberty. Liberty means you don't get everything you want. And you won't under communism or centralized control either. You can't. Because it's someone else's. And when it's someone else's and that someone else's is enforced by the state, and that state says you don't even get yours because your neighbor owns your stuff just as much as you do. You just get assigned your portion. You won't get what you want there either. Wolfgang says, Irish wristwatch. Fuck. That's like the hardest tongue twister that exists. The one thing you have the most likelihood of getting under communism that's really hard to find in the free market right now is a bullet. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. Crusader Saracen says, my parents were in the killing fields. Ask them about communism. I think this one's about Tapped. Wolfgang Dale, I'm not going to read any more of those. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. All right. This cigar is done. Now I got to finish this glass of whiskey. I never read your super chat from the other day. Gummy, tag me and tell me what it said. And I will do my best to read it now. Frederick Little says, watching any new anime? I've been watching through Berserk slowly. The 2016, 2017. It's okay. It's weird because all the women have smooth boobs, no nipples. Quacky Boy says, don't worry, comrade. We, government, know how much you deserve to earn because we are God. Crusader says, oh Allah, take the ones who say Irish wristwatch and destroy them. Oh Allah, the most merciful, count them one by one and do not spare a single one. Wolfgang Deo says, Sally sells God damn it. Sally sells shells by the seashore. Irish wristwatch. Fuck you. I said I was in 6th grade when the towers were hit and school was canceled. Oh, sorry I missed that one. How many people have I had in the hot tub? Just family mostly. Uncivil Law was in there. Snuggle Struggle says the only real security to be had is in death and taxes. For a politician to punish a semblance of security in office should be an immediate resignation. SJ Shady says, hey Nick, everything I'm moving to a red state only every day. Every day of my life. Unfortunately, I'm probably here. Probably here for a while. Austin Kaiser says, scalping hand wash is no more free market capitalism than a parasitic worm in your intestine as part of your immune system. That's incorrect. Kalinka Pavlova says, giving you US 50 cents for the capitalistic grift, lols. Torin90 says, ignore Berserk 2016, 2017. Watch the original 1997 in the movie. I've already watched the movie trilogy. The original, I watched some of the original a long time ago. I didn't get through all of it, and it's not as easy to watch. The 2016, 2017 is on HBO Max, and I'm watching through the, I wanted to hear the story. Mandy says, would you have a gun in your next outdoor stream? I want to do a stream shooting my old chair. Nick says, Clark Griswold says, what can I get for $5 in Wallace Shawn, a.k.a. Vizzini voice? Buy a bullet and rent a gun. Wolfgang Deo says, so how much screwery is going on this week after Tuesday? Dude, Tuesday's going to be a disaster. Will the Irish wristwatch Democrats fortify the election enough? A fight? Who knows, eh? Gummy says they're going to put that flashcast up. Only watched half. Yep, it'll be on Corona's channel. Not applicable. Says, come back to Texas, motherfucker. We could do fishing and barbecue. I would love to, but I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's in the cards for me, unfortunately. Asia Fraser says, Danish wristwatch with Worcestershire sauce. The Moto Maniac says, if price gouging laws didn't exist, then as the demand grew higher from the rich capitalists buying it all, the price would rise or supply would rise. Yes. Yeah. That's the thing. That eventually you have too much Purell and you can't sell it. Mike Likes Taco says, brother, communism takes away the burden of choice. Colfe says, Iris Wish Watchrist. Anthony Tupin says 2021 is the best yet. Bought a business and it's been better than promised. October 2nd is the wedding, followed by month-long honeymoon. Montana has room. Tony, I got your invitation, man. I don't know if I can make it, but I am seriously talking to Lady Rackets about if we can. Mr. Bentham says, Flashcast Irish. Fucking goddamn it. I hate you guys. Noobnut08 says, should courts be forced to inform the jury of their ability to nullify prior to a trial? Yes. Vienticus Prime says, Irish wristwatch, Irish twist floss, anus fist wat. Linda Marie says, when would that bill pass? My time machine's ready. Never. Not until the current society is out. The society has to change. Dungeon Master says, I wish Irish wristwatches wish washy wrists. Dripping Not So Handsome Jack says, are you an Irish watch fister or I wish fist ratcher? The Moto Maniac says, by that I meant as price rises, rich capitalists can afford to buy less and less of it. Physical commodities adjust much better than stocks. Yes. They also have to store what they buy. They have to inventory it. Kevin Silva says, what's your contact info for potential representation? As a fair warning, I probably won't represent you because I'm not really taking cases and I may not be in your jurisdiction, but it's Rekieta Law at rekieta.org. And if possible, I will try and find you someone to refer you to. Torin90 says, I recommend the Almighty Lol's video on Berserk. Almighty Lolly's video on Berserk. He's doing a retrospective on the series and just went through the Golden Age. Zephael says, why are you not in the hot tub? You would get more views. Spidey Leo Slayer says, since you are Mr. Freedom, I think you'd like Attack on Titan. I watched the first season and the second season. They were good. But then it was too long to wait for the third and I haven't caught up. I would love to hear your take on it. It's one of the best written anime stories. The Indigus Prime says, how much yay could a Kanye con if a Kanye could Kanye? I thought I'd change it up. Wolfgang Deo says, I think communism has a point with those Irish wristwatches. Burn everything down. Irish wristwatches need to go. How dare that phrase exist? Look, here's the deal. This got brought up by just some guy yesterday as well. He said, enjoy your $200 gas. Or maybe it was a super chat, but I think it was him. Enjoy your $200 gas. If you have $200 gas, especially ethanolized gas that we have now, it will actually go bad. It will spoil. It will attract moisture. It will be really bad in Minnesota or other tundra-like states. You cannot keep ethanolized gas without winterizing your stuff because of the ethanol bringing moisture into the gas block and then that fucking freezing and turning everything to gel. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't inventory the gas. So you can't maintain $200 a gallon gas prices because people can afford it, but people won't be able to afford it at some point, and then you'll have inventory. And the thing with the oil industry is that product has to move. They are a low margin business. If you don't know, the oil industry runs on like a 7% margin. Andrew War Snowboard says, Amy Klobuchar has cancer, Rekieta special election win. The oil and gas industry runs on a 6 to 7% margin. For contrast, Apple used to run on a 22 to 25% margin. That was before the App Store existed. They can't sustain a distribution model that they have and charge that much for gas. It won't work. They can't inventory the gas. They must keep producing it. Otherwise, everything goes to shit. They can raise prices a lot. And the gas, it's important to remember that gas is already, or oil, I should say, is already controlled primarily by a cartel. And even they are hesitant to monopolize price at an unsustainable level because they have to move the product. And the same thing with the Purell guy. The Purell guy is going to gouge you on Purell until, and he'll be able to sustain that until Purell catches up on production and sells more Purell and undercuts him by just having the normal price. He'll have an option to either buy out the market again, or he's going to have to cut his own price. The market corrects all this stuff. And it might not be convenient for you in the short term, and it really can suck. It really can. But you don't have a right to someone else's labor or capital. Aisha Frazier says, so they implemented the mandate at my job and our entire maintenance department quit, as well as 2 managers and a few others. There's a hospital that can't deliver babies in New Jersey because 30 of their staff quit. 30 of their staff. And they said, we can't deliver babies for a while because of the jab mandate. Wolfgang Deo says, time to bring back leaded gasoline. Thanks, Greenies. No, you got to get rid of the ethanolized gasoline. The unleaded part's fine. Rise Darth Jello says, I believe it's against YouTube terms of service to have firearms on a live stream ever since Christchurch. I haven't seen that, but I have a resource I can check with. All those lives could have been saved if only the shooter would have known his channel would get a strike. Jess Atlas says, are intellectual property laws anti-capitalist? Probably. Probably. Gummy says, I do have a right to it if they make me go through a windshield like they did 3 years ago. Spoiler, I won. Crusader says, how would the free market apply to BlackRock and Xi'an buying up all the real estate in America and pricing out any working class American? In theory, they could do it. Brock M says, I scream, you scream, we all scream for Biden to stop eating ice cream as news. Cloudfire181 says, did you see Netflix is doing One Piece live? It's going to be worse than 4Kids. Also, the head of it stated Kamala is just like Luffy, die on the inside. Yes. Yes, and someone was just like Trump. I heard as well. I don't follow One Piece. I assume that the live action would be worse than the anime. I hate the animation style of One Piece. I know people say it's like the greatest shonen series that there is. And that may be true. I don't know. But I don't like the animation style. I don't like the look of it. But I can tell you, I'd like it more than the live action. Really easy. But look, freedom, liberty is the risk that you might not be able to do stuff. Hell, Ted Turner owns something like 60% of Montana. And it'll never be public. And I hate that. I hate that. All that beautiful land is owned by private trusts that are basically getting donated to the government after 99 years. And that sucks. But now, should the government own property? No. Period. Outside of their limited scopes, they should not own property. National parks, I don't really think should be owned by governments. I'm not a big fan of that. And I'm not a fan that Ted Turner is donating all of that owned real estate in Montana. I think it's like 64% or 65% of it. He owns all of that and it's going to the government. And I think that is morally incorrect. The government should not be in the business of owning property. Minnesota has a government property purchasing program. It's an $800 million a year budget. And I think it is one of the most immoral things on the planet. I could care less if some private capitalist came in and bought up all of Minnesota, for his own use. I guess if he wants to do that, go ahead. I think he'd have problems because people just wouldn't sell or they'd price him out as he kept buying everything. But the government doing it is wrong. And that is not capitalist, obviously. The government influencing the market in that way is treason to the people, in my opinion. Crusader says, I meant, how would the free market correct that? Well, simple. You can't buy up all the property if people won't sell it. And so if people refuse to sell or price the people out of being able to purchase, the only way they can buy it is with the government enforcement of the purchase, which is why Kelo versus New York, or versus New London, I think it was. Kelo versus New London is one of the worst Supreme Court cases in the world because it allowed the government to use eminent domain to confiscate private property and give it to a private company for public use of creating a shopping mall, which, by the way, never got built even after people's property was taken. But you need government to do it. It's not practicable to go ahead and buy up all of the property. It won't work in the long run because some people just don't want to move. For example, the house I'm in now, there's an adjacent property, and that property is not in the best shape, but it's got a good couple acres of land. I really want it, but people live on it. The people before me offered those people, I heard, $1 million for this property, and the property might be worth $200,000 with the house. Might be worth $200,000, $250 on a good market, maybe, and that's stretching it. They turned them down. They turned down $1 million. They said, nope, we want to live here until we die. Vientigus Prime says, anyone else concerned for S2 Picard premise? I heard Picard was garbage, so no, I'm not concerned about it at all. Lucky Luckadoo, welcome to paralegal status. Thank you. Matt Field says, I just love the properly lighted and displayed Old Glory in the background. You're the real deal, Nick. Oh, thank you. I do have to fix it. It got a little tangled in a recent windstorm, so I have to take it down and untangle it, which I'm going to probably do tomorrow. We just had kids here all fucking weekend. Efel says, anime recommendation, watch Drifters, made by the mad lads who made Hellsing. Samurai with decapitation as a hobby. Hitler in Fantasyland. It's great. Mandy Carvicia says, you have just received the 1,000 palm strike of terminal butt damage of the North Star. In 10 seconds, you will force your palms deeper into your butt until you are dead. You are a match for Hokoto. You are match for Hokoto Shinken, Nick. Oh, well, at least I'll enjoy it as I go out. Matty Ice says, sexy sailor, the snail's nailer sold his Irish watch to a whaler. God damn it. Wolfgang Deo says, lol, I wonder if my Brit Lit papers accepting and apologetics of Christianity, including the sexism and misogyny, will get me a C instead of an A. Probably. Probably. Oh, God. So all of that to say is I'm stunned. More people don't understand liberty. I mean, I shouldn't be stunned. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But to see it from just some guy, to see it from Veto, who, despite being a lefty fatso turbo cuck, you know, I mean, he's left, but he seems to be against like woke culture and stuff like that. And yet there he was, participating in it. I was actually surprised. I was actually surprised by Veto. Snuggle Struggle says, my family purchased a lot of farmland mineral rights long ago. My mother went to update the paperwork, and my uncle was concerned they got screwed, that they screwed us over. In Montana and Wyoming both. Those living here today are upset as they didn't know. Damn. Damn. The hardest part of capitalism and the free market and liberty in general, the absolute hardest part, is that it produces results that offend you. It will always produce a result that offends you in some way. That's the hardest aspect of it. It will always produce you being unable to do something that you want, or even something that you need. And that is the most frustrating part of it. The principle is more valuable than your want. And yes, the principle of the free market is more valuable than your life, or mine, or anybody else's. Because if it's not, then someone else's life is subject to your want or need. And that is never how an ordered society can function. Because let's say tomorrow, my doctor says, sorry, you need a liver. And we just can't give it to you. You say, but I need one. I say, sorry, we can't do it. We don't have one. You can't afford it. Whatever it may be. Whatever the reason, the market can't support you getting a liver. There's nothing I can do to change that. That's a shame for me. But it doesn't mean I can go to my neighbor and take theirs. And at the end of the day, all of those little infringements where you say, oh, well, you don't need that. That's unreasonable. That is a bridge too far. That eventually comes down. That eventually comes down to the point where someone can take your liver because they need it and they're more valuable. That's the scary part of it. It's shockingly covered by some of the most recently turned statist cucks who used to be based in red-pilled Monty Python. In The Meaning of Life, when they go to the guy's house who's an organ donor and they come to have his liver. Well, can we have your liver then? I'm using it. And then they go through the song, right, about the galaxy. Just remember that you're standing on a planet that's revolving at 900 miles an hour. Yeah, that song, that whole bit. And they They have to take his liver because someone else is more useful than him. Kevin Silva says, if someone uses court filings to protect a fraudulent trademark over a few cases, can it be wire fraud and mail fraud towards RICO violations? Probably not. They should be punished through the court for perjury or whatever. I don't know if it could be wire fraud or RICO. But if they're lying to the court has other methods to deal with that. Perjury and sanctions. Wolfgang Deo says, go and take a liver. We all die. Why do we avoid this fact? No one liked that neighbor anyways with his Irish wristwatch. So perplexing. Death avoidant. Mike Likes Taco says, China gets livers from its citizens. Great benefits over there for some. Varric Phoenix says, here's a fun paradox. This sentence is a lie. Nick Pagan says, just joined in on something I really needed to hear. Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you guys for joining. I think we're going to wrap up pretty soon. I thought this was going to be an hour, and it turns into almost 2, which is great. You guys seem to like these kind of impromptu streams. You know, out in the dark and all that stuff. So, I like to do them. There's not a movie night tonight. I am actually going to the Discord because I didn't even realize it was Wednesday this week. My whole week was very busy. My Wednesday was especially busy. And so I will be on the Discord doing a live chat tonight. I'll probably do another live chat other than live chat Wednesday in Discord this week as well. Because I genuinely did not even... I didn't realize that Wednesday had happened until Thursday. So it was a mess. So I will be in Discord doing a live chat down in my office, and then, you know, who knows what happens next. Wolfgang Deo says, we want a 24-hour stream, Irish wristwatch, more Nick. Kalinka Pavlova says, what I find funny, so we have a freer market than the U.S. I double-checked, yet a tyrannical female Trudeau is prime minister sucking CCP pee-pee. Sad times. Yeah, it's amazing that the U.S. market is not free. It's not. We have to work into it. We have to get back to it. It's crazy where we are right now. And it all stems from someone saying, I want that though. And that's just some guy's argument. And at the end of the day, that's Vito's argument. I want that man to stop talking. Let me go report it to YouTube. Let me go report it right now. I'm calling the police, the internet police. Suck It says, how about a ghost story? Are you afraid of the dark? I don't know any ghost stories. No, that's not true. I told my ghost stories the other day on a stream. I'll probably tell them again on Halloween. They're pretty basic, but that Jack Daniels number 27 is good stuff. Very good stuff. Mandy Carvicia says, Nick, since you're outside, can you pee while saying peace, peace? No, I'm not going to pee on stream, but I probably will pee outside because peeing outside is what men should always do. Joshua Powell says, opinion on Liberty University's online law school. I have no opinion on it. I have no idea. Nothing. The law school I went to was the first ABA accredited law school to have a hybrid online program where you do most of your classes online with a little bit of in-person. I had graduated before that came out. It would have been really fucking nice to not drive 2 hours every day, and I would have definitely done the online hybrid program, but, you know, unfortunately I couldn't. But yeah, I don't have a positive or negative opinion of Liberty University's program. I don't know anything about it. But Liberty University's, I guess, former president or whatever, what's his face's son, Jerry Falwell Jr., and his cuckold tendencies with the wife and the pool boy was a little bit fucking funny. That was one of the funniest things. Meshikari Ruse says, that debate was wild. Hope you guys could still be cool. I love you, but repeat after me, you degenerate. Lulfy. Lulfy, not Luffy. Lol, keep being awesome. Xenobrit says, why is your flag at half staff? It isn't. It's at the top. It's just down from where I am. The ground slopes away. We're up on a hill. We have a beautiful vista view behind us. It's great, but yeah. Oh shit. SJ Shady 0169 says, "Hey Nick, can you give me the TLDR and just some guy in Veto thing? I must have missed it." Sure, in just a second. Matt Maka says, "Nick, is that guy with the knife back at the flag a friend of yours?" Yes, he is. Ben Frail says, "Call in your favors with Barnes and get Alex Jones on." I think that'd be a good stream, but of course Veto would flag me for it. So the down low on just some guy, if you came really late, and Veto were two different arguments I had. Just some guy on Flashcast. We argued over the free market. It started with a discussion about the guy who bought all the Purell bottles that he could find. He bought something like 10,000 bottles of Purell or something like that, and then was selling them at a big markup. At an exorbitant markup. It was like $17 a bottle, which is an exorbitant markup. Make no mistake. But it wasn't unaffordable. And he was publicly ostracized for it. And ultimately, the government came and literally stole all of the Purell bottles that he bought. They stole them. They opened his trailer. He wasn't there, and they took them without his consent. So, he said that that was bad. I said that that is good. That you should absolutely be able to do that. Because he went to go get those things. He went to go get those bottles. He paid for those bottles. It wasn't a $10,000 super chat, by the way. It's 10,000 of something. It comes up to somewhere around $5. It's a different currency. He got those bottles. He expended his resources and time to get them. He had to store them. He had to pay for that, and he had to pay for the marketing to sell them and all of that stuff. He did that. And to me, yes. I don't care that other people wanted it. They didn't do it. They all could have, and they didn't. Phoenix Lord Asserman says, "Generally like just some guy, but I guess we all have bad takes sometimes." Yeah, of course. He's fine. He's fine. We just had a disagreement. It's not a big deal. I mean, you're a Space Marine fan, so you know all about crap takes. Thanks for the stream. Yeah. It's the whole idea is that if you wanted to get the Purell, you should have bought it before the price went up. And I'm sorry that the price went up before you bought it. But most of the people who wanted it, I would wager, didn't want it until the price went up. Robin H says, "I keep running into people that compare the vax mandate to drunk driving laws. Curious as to how you would explain the difference." It's really, really simple, actually. It's really, really simple. Mandates can never be the same thing as a restriction on action. Drunk driving says you cannot operate a motor vehicle while intoxicated. That is a restriction on your action. Period. A mandate requires you to take a step and do something positively. You have to go get the vaccine. You are forced to go do something. You are forced to put on a mask. Restrictive laws, whether they're good or bad, will never be as bad as a mandate. They can't. Because a restriction on action is far less tyranny in your life than the compulsion to do something against your will. Cloudfire181 says, "Is the Robert Barnes letter the one from Locals?" Yes. JJ Joestar says, "Nick, say Lucy Lou, now say Luffy." And there you go. Keep up the awesome work. Pronouns. Yes. Forced pronoun use. Again, no one should be able to compel you to use someone's proper pronoun. No one should be able to do that. The Veto thing was different. Veto called out to Team YouTube. He says he didn't flag them, by the way. He's like, "I didn't flag it," meaning he didn't report it on YouTube, which he makes a distinction. He says that that's flagging and that tagging them on Twitter is not flagging, even though neither one of them is actually flagging. On YouTube, it's reporting. So he didn't report them on YouTube, he claims. He only tagged them on Twitter, and they responded that Alex Jones was on Nerdrotic saying wrong think. It's Luffy for now and forever. Iric Bloodaxe says, I remember thinking during Black Friday sales, I don't want this, but the deals are so good, I don't want others to have it. Same with the Purells. Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you suddenly dramatically increase the cost of an item, you can create the perception of necessity. Oh my God, this thing's really expensive. People must be buying it. I need one. What if I can't get one tomorrow? Oh my God, I better go buy the Purell. But you weren't buying the Purell today or yesterday or the day before. Otherwise, you wouldn't need one now. He created most of the demand that ended up undoing him by raising the price because people are stupid. Xenobit says most states have price gouging statutes. You don't have to agree with or like them, but the laws are in the books. Yes, they are, and they shouldn't be. They should not. There you go. That's what I got for you guys tonight. That's what I got for you guys tonight. Again, just some guy and I are cool. At least in my book, we had a disagreement over a principle. That's fine. No big deal. Veto and I are not cool. I don't really care. Like, I've never interacted with Veto much outside of this other than a couple tweets back and forth. We are not cool because I will not be cool with people who are engaged in that activity. So there you go. That's it for tonight. I will be on Discord if you are a Discord member. I will see you there. Thanks for watching, guys. Always enjoy when you guys show up for these impromptu streams. We'll see you later. Peace, guys. Peace.